a lot of operators, when they first get into SA business, everyone's like, oh yeah, go and think about getting a deal, speaking to a lot of agent, make 100 phone calls. You don't need to do that if you follow this process, because in Trello, you can put a system in place. And once you put a system, you can follow the system. This is going to be a series with 4 videos that's going to come out every Wednesday and a Saturday. We're going into next year. And the topics I'm going to cover is, firstly, the first video, I want to build a system in this video, the system to build Trello and how you can manage your service accommodation lead. On second video, I'm going to talk about 5 things you've got to mention on your offer email to a landlord or a letting agent. On the third video, then we're going to take it into actually how to find those deals and actually send in those emails without you having to jump into a phone call, especially if you're working full time and you don't have time to sit down and actually give time. You can do that when you're watching the telly in the evening. So that is going to be video 3. And then the last video I'm going to talk about is how you can actually maximize and scale that process using a virtual assistant, probably even down to $20 a week that you can invest. So now, if you're new to this channel, my name is PSBK. I run Grow Your BNB and AutomateYourBnB.com. We've worked with over 5,000 properties globally in the UK, Dubai, US, Canada, and many other places. And let's get into the video. I'm going to bring Trello, and I would like you to follow the exact process that I am going through right now to make sure you have the system in place before you start sending any emails or even doing some phone calls. So let's get into the video straight away. As you can see, all I've done is I've gone into Google and typed in Trello. And if you don't know what Trello is, it's just you can see here is a project management software. There's a lot of things you can do with it, but all you need to do is, if you've not got an account, you can sign up for free. So for example, I'm just going to use our email, sign up for free. You can even do, log in with Google. So I'm going to just log in with Google in our end, and there you go. As easy as that, you should have your account created. So now you've created the account, this is how it looks. Now obviously you can kind of optimize this into different processes. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to put here saying create and automate Teams workflow, or I'm going to actually skip that. I'm going to call this, probably the best thing to call is lead generation for SA business. Right, cool. I'm going to skip that for now because I want to show you how I build. Now, obviously later on, if you bring your VAs on board, you can also actually have them, well, you can give them an access to it, or if you've already got a team, you can also use that as a part of your flow. Now, if I skip that, so this is pretty much Trello. So go to your first board. Now I can literally have a plan in place. And with lead generations, I always say to my clients, as you're looking into how you're going to approach agents, are you making phone calls, are you doing follow-up? So I'm going to start with the basic flow that you need to set up. So the first one I'm going to go is the one which says agent saying yes. So the people who said yes to you, I want them here. Obviously, I'm gonna make sure, I don't know if there's an option where I can just delete it. I'll move that forward later. So agents saying yes. So these are people who've actually said yes. So for example, if we're thinking about someone, let's say an agent said yes. So Mark from Martin and Co. I can even put the link for the property. And if they said yes, they could sit in yes here. Right, so you can see automatically now I've got all the information within that place. I can call this, let's say we can even name that person's Martin and Co, or whatever that location is. You can even put that, so you can see now what you've done is you've got yourself into a position where you're really kind of saying, okay, so Chloe XXXXX agents. Right, there you go. So now you've got an option to manage all those people, or potentially agent who will say yes to you down here. Now you've got maybe agents who's gone maybe, which is effectively they're going in and potentially asking the landlord for confirmation. You obviously have agent that will say no, which again is going to be a lot of agent. But the reality is, if you have a system to know who says no and also document why they've actually said no, it's actually going to make your life a lot easier, because when you're building that relationship, the people that said no, you can always go back to them in a certain format where you've re-engaged with them maybe in last kind of 2 months and said, hey, I remember us talking 2 months ago in that date, because you've kind of locked it. And you can really then build a relationship and say, I understand at that point you didn't want to work with us because of whatever reason that you had on the notes, but you can go back and now say, look, I'd love to re-engage on this specific property, but before I do that, can I send you what we offer? So you've got a lot more better approach, rather than again having a cold approach to say, hey, can I view this? And they're probably going to repeat themselves and say, we're not going to do this because we've said to you. So it's worth having a good system. Remember guys, what we're doing is we're putting a good system in place for you to manage your lead generation. So the next one I'm going to put is follow up on this agent. So, this could be an agent who generally will, just to get you off the phone at that time, they'll be like, oh yeah, this landlord don't want to do the kind of service accommodation or company let, but we'll put you on our database, so if it ever comes, we'll let you know. So they want to get you off the phone really, but you've still got that person or that agent as a follow-up, which basically means if you put them on follow-up in a month's time, you can say, hey, I remember XXX, I remember speaking to you on that date, I know you mentioned that landlord. Again, you've got a great way to follow up and process. You're not starting a new conversation, but also if you get their person's name, you also are in a position where you can then speak to that same person rather than a different person all the time. Let's put follow up weekly, because that will be good. So maybe there's agent that we need, is actually really interested to work with you, and they might say to you, hey, let's catch up in a couple of days time. And then the last one I'd probably put is to view property, actually, and I will obviously offer to agents. So now I think this is where pretty much the main things that you're going to go through on having that calls with this agents all the time, or landlords all the time. And by the way, you can you can put agents and landlord, right? Obviously with landlord, you've only got probably one opportunity unless a landlord's got a portfolio of property, but this is the example that I want to show you, where you can build a system of landlords saying yes, agents or landlords saying maybe, agents saying no, agents saying let's follow up, in a couple of weeks time. There's agent who will say, look, just give us a call in a week time. Obviously not a lot will do that, but you always have that ready to hand. To view property, if you've managed to get something on view, I'll definitely pick that client. Let's say for example, before you had Mark saying yes, you probably view that property, right? So there you go. So now you've gone from that agent saying yes to confirming when you're going to view. So you can literally put here saying to confirm viewing on, let's say 1st Jan 2025. Cool. And then you can put any comments. So what you're doing is you're creating a solid format in your workflow. And trust me guys, I am telling you today that as much as it looks like you're doing an extra work, what you're doing is you're building a database of flow that you can manage in a couple of weeks time in a much more thorough basis. You're not wasting your time. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this first video of the series of rent-to-rent service accommodation, and the idea behind this is there's loads of videos on going talk to agents like this, but actually what matters the most is even if you make that 5-10 phone calls or emails, you must log them into a system, because what you're doing is in a week's time you're not starting in square one. You're going and actually saying, those are the agent I engaged with, these are the difficult conversation I had with those agent, or that agent just put the phone down because they just want to get off the phone, but they were like, oh, why don't you catch up with us if there's any other properties that you like in a week's time. So you've now got a really good flow that you can really leverage. One thing I must say within this process is it will bound you to get those person's name, because then that way when you're re-engaging with someone, you're not calling an agent and asking the same question to another 4 different people. You're saying, hey, can I speak to this person please? And then once they get you on the phone, then you're like, hey, do you remember we spoke on that day? Is the landlord still you're open to do a service accommodation company let, I know the property hasn't been let. So you've got a really good opportunity to build relationships on follow up. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this very specific video around building system for your rent to rent lead generation. If you're new to this channel, I'd love you to make sure you hit that like and subscribe. Listen, we've got another 3 videos coming out. And like I said to you, in the next video, I want to show you the 5 things you must have in your offer email. Then we're going to talk about how you can use that strategy to potentially not even make a phone call, which I'm really excited about, that 3rd video, which will come out on 1st of Jan. So for you guys, it's going to be a great gift that people who watches my video who's looking to get into service accommodation, this is really going to open doors for you guys. Please make sure you leave a comment down below if you've started building your system. Let me know if you've added anything differently or changed anything. We're here to share knowledge, to give you value. And guys, thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to coming back with another value soon.